traitors. Yes, these are they, unfortunately. Okay, so the Hungarian opposition, a motley crew of useless and even more useless. There once was a lone, intelligent voice in the wilderness, that of Schiffer András. But his intelligence rather showed up the rest of the band. He then stepped out of the picture, something for which I imagine he thanks the stars on an hourly basis. Anyway, this isn't about him. This, connected to the ongoing saga of the coronavirus pandemic, is merely an attempt to open the door a bit to allow you to see the sort of fools and unprincipled saboteurs that can be found on the Hungarian political scene. Now, remember the hand-wringing that went on when Hungary decided that it was in a state of danger as a result of the coronavirus and that it was time to put safety first? Yes, Parliament decided that the government was allowed to rule by decree until the state of danger had passed. Well, that was all that was needed. There were tears of anger and dismay flooding the offices of liberal media worldwide. Add to that, shock, horror, both by-elections and referenda were to be put on hold until the state of danger was lifted. And I wouldn't be at all surprised to hear that suicide rates amongst liberals experienced a spike. Now, one thing that the Western whingers thought was absolutely beyond the pale was that people were now threatened with punishment for scaremongering. Not telling lies, not misleading others, no. No matter what you read in the West, the punishment was never threatened for someone releasing misinformation. The punishment was threatened for those who willingly sought to undermine the actions of a democratically elected government. That this might have potentially deadly results for any one of their compatriots matters not one whit to the liberals. Now, no doubt there are some loonies out there who are convinced that the sun is where the source of 5G chips can be found, hastily being mined in time for Christmas by the mole people. We've all met them, and for the most part they're harmless. In a situation like the one we're facing, well, perhaps they're less harmless than usual, but I don't want to concentrate on them now. No, the person I want to concentrate on is Korózs Lajos, this silly sod. Lajos is an MP for the Hungarian Socialist Party, and he's also the head of the Parliamentary Committee on Public Welfare. As a result, you're probably thinking that Lajos is in control of his mental faculties, can finish a Sudoku problem and tie his own shoelaces. Fine, who wouldn't think those things about the head of a parliamentary committee after all? But if you were to pick Lajos up by the ankles and shake him, you wouldn't hear as much as a clunk from his bonds. Nope. From all available evidence, Lajos's coconut is decidedly empty. All shell, precious little else. Lajos hit the headlines at the start of the summer when he did the rounds, revealing that he had secured the testimony of a woman. Nay, not a mere woman, a paramedic who was prepared to tear down the wall of lies that the government was propagating. The woman in question, Német Attina, claimed to be a paramedic. Fine. But that wasn't the real meat in Lajos's sandwich, no. The real meat that Lajos invited us all to get our teeth stuck into was the information that this alleged paramedic was prepared to reveal. Now, for the first time with Lajos's indispensable assistance, this brave woman was going to tell her story to the world. Fidesz be damned! Right on. The woman in the video claimed that in addition to her full-time job as a paramedic, she also volunteered to look after 10 patients who had been sent home from hospital to free up beds for coronavirus patients. According to her story, 9 of the 10 died. One of them was sent home with her stomach only half sewn up following an operation to remove a tumour. Lajos was filmed in front of the National Ambulance headquarters, stating on camera that the government was killing people. Due to the predicted numbers of coronavirus patients who would require hospitalization, hospital beds had to be reassigned. Intensive care beds with ventilators had to be put into place. Wards had to be reorganized for the expected rise in coronavirus patients. This meant that those hospital patients who didn't require further hospitalization, those who could recuperate at home, were sent home. Lajos claimed that this government policy and this government were killing Hungarians. sending people home who were in dire need of hospital treatment just in order to empty hospital beds for a predicted future rise in coronavirus patients. Now, no matter how hard Lajos and his friends tried to pull on the nation's heartstrings, before there was time for a single tear to fall, before there was time for a single outraged liberal's blood pressure to rise even the slightest, the whole damn thing came crashing down around his head, leaving Lajos looking as though he had fewer brain cells than an amoeba. Why did it all come crashing down? What was it that caused the tale to fall apart and be rejected by small children as too much of a terminological inexactitude to be credible? Well, that was mainly down to Ottina. Although Lajos and his team of intrepid liars might well be singled out for part of the blame too. Questions were naturally asked of Ottina, and it rapidly became apparent that she wasn't what she had claimed to be. On camera, she refused or was unable to answer predictable questions.
Ne haragudjon, 43 év után egyszerűen olyan idegállapotban vagyok, nem tudom megmondani. Tehát még csak be se kattan, de ha papírjaimhoz jutok, akkor természetesen meg fogom mutatni.
Oh dear Lajos, didn't you think to check? She has no medical qualifications. She is not registered as a paramedic. She didn't volunteer but charged families an exorbitant hourly rate for services that she was neither qualified nor licensed to render. She also offered for an additional fee to massage the limbs of these patients. And what was Lajos's reaction? Did he stand up and accept his part in the fiasco like a man? Did he offer an apology? Did he take responsibility? Nope. He claimed that he too had been misled by Ottina, stating that none of this had been mentioned when they first met. Lajos asserted that there was no egg on his face, and Ottina was the only one who claimed one thing, only for it to turn out to be false. Yes, Lajos, with a deft, elegant sidestep, pushed Ottina under the bus while he remained on the pavement. Classy to the end, Lajos. With neighbours like you,